just put a piece of candy in my mouth. So hold on one second. Um, I hope everyone's doing well. Today we're just gonna do a quick general live. We're not gonna get into anything deep. The subject topic is very deep though, but we're not gonna get into anything major or deep. And reason being, because have you guys noticed how people are talking about the case, but you got to realize Diddy is and was Cassie's boss. Do you realize? Yeah, they're making her the main person that is to testify against and speak on what she experienced, what was happening, and what was transpiring, which is really deep. So if you look at it as a boss's perspective, it's very interesting that a young lady went through this situation with her boss. Now, when you look at it like that, it kind of puts it in a different perspective. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in. It's going to take people a few minutes to come in, but I appreciate everyone for being here. So we're going to go ahead and get through the disclaimer while we go through everything. Um, Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. So we're going to get through a few different things, and I'm going to kind of take it from a different angle because I'm shocked that I see guys that's saying free, 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 um, the choices that were made. But if it was their daughter that was in the situation like Cassie, how would they feel? What would they feel? And would they be okay with it? That's the big question. Um, so we're definitely going to talk in that aspect. There was a few more people that, of course, hit the stand that talked in regards to what they experienced and what was going on. So we're going to go ahead and get through some clips. But are you guys surprised of how the media's covering it? How some guys are saying free him? She made a choice, and we get it. But if you look at it as being a boss of a business and how people were treated, then you wouldn't want your daughter in that situation. You wouldn't want yourself in that situation. And I get how they cross examined Dawn. We get that. And Dawn kind of stumbled on a few things. I do feel that in regards to Dawn's testimony, they should have went over with her what was talked to with the feds, whether they had a recording, whether they had a transcript, whatever. And then um kind of do a test back and forth. Well, these are things that they're going to ask you about. What did you see? What did you notice? And I kind of feel that she kind of fumbled in regards to, and we get it. You're nervous. You're sitting in the room of a man that you worked with. He decided to end the band, and then you kind of contact him. It's like she was basically feeling like she need money. So let me, okay, even though how he was, is he like that now? Even though I was scared, am I going to be scared now? So maybe people in the industry felt that maybe there was a change in him. Okay, that could be that. But when Dawn gets on the stand, she fumbles a lot of situations, a lot of comments in regards to thoughts, feelings. You didn't tell the federal government this. You didn't tell this in your statement. Now you're on the stand and you're mixing things up. Don't you feel that you change your story several times? She's nervous. So I think they should have sat with Dawn more in regards to what's your thoughts, what's your feelings. Just as you sat with the federal government, you got to make sure you're on those same thoughts and feelings. Then they would cross examine and say, you didn't say that you felt threatened. You didn't say, and then she kind of fumbled when, remember how it stated how Cassie was making breakfast and Diddy was upset that she wasn't, either that it wasn't when he wanted it, the eggs or whatever to be done, whatever the breakfast was. I think they said eggs, but Diddy was mad. And then Dawn would see what was happening. You got to realize When you're around a person that is very concerning, I'll be general this morning, but when you're around a person that's very concerning, he'll do stuff to other people so you won't try it. He'll make you feel fearful so you won't do or get, sassy with him. It's like, oh my goodness, this is his girlfriend he's treating like that. And then they're lovey-dovey, but then he's treating her mean, and then they're, holding hands. But then wait a minute, he kind of gets her together. Do you understand what I'm saying? He gets her together so other people around her won't step out of line. This is the other thing you got to realize. He wanted to separate her from people that could uplift her and make her feel good. Do y'all realize that in regards to the friend, Carrie, that spoke, Carrie said that uh, Cassie was very lighthearted, fun, very charismatic, and then he kind of wanted to break her spirit. Men that are controlling and that want to control you will separate your friends, and they start to see the light dim more and more in you. Do y'all get that? It's a really sad thing. So this is the one thing. He'll get people to be around them, but then he'll do something to separate that friendship. Do y'all get that too? So it's a big concern. He didn't want her dating anybody else. The friend would kind of hang out, but then there was fear there, and they're hiding under this and they're hiding under that. And it's like, okay, but then that was her comfort. But then he did something to the friend. Okay, let's go back. It's being reported that Diddy alleged took a hanger upside somebody's head. So then, of course, the friend then sues or makes a settlement. Let's say it that way, makes a settlement. All comments are alleged. And still, he's innocent till proven guilty. I don't have I don't have a stake in it. I don't know these people, but what's being reported in court is concerning. I don't know Diddy. I don't know Cassie. I don't know any of these people. And then someone is like, oh, you're being biased. Biased what? We're being told what this man did to his employees, people around him. So concerning. So let's take a step back. So you have a friend that's Carrie that takes the stand. They did substances together, her and Cassie. They did substances together. Diddy didn't really like that Carrie would do substances with Cass. And I think he wanted to keep an eye on Cass so that she doesn't get maybe the wrong thing. Alleged Carrie and Cass went to rehab. Now, who paid for that? But they went to rehab. Diddy was at times, he was in rehab. So there were some issues there. There were some issues there. But you figure they had talked about Cassie was doing well for herself when she was younger, 18, 19, in different ads, selling clothes. She was doing well for herself. Her career took a kind of halt once she got with alleged Diddler. She did do the movie, but alleged her and Diddy was broke up. So that's the one thing in court I'd like to know. Out of a 11-year period, would you say y'all dated for the that full year for those 11 years, or would you say y'all was together for a month and broke up for 8 months? That's the one big breakdown, because you know how couples are. You can be with somebody, but then you break up and you're not together for months and months on end. So that's an issue too. The situation was very toxic, concerning, and Alex is a person that took her away from that situation, which is a good thing. Even though he knew there were still some remnants of Cassie and Diddy being together, he still took her out of a bad situation. And many people were saying how gorgeous she is. She's so gorgeous. She seems so kind, so friendly. But what she experienced with her boyfriend and who was working with her, she experienced some horrible things. Period. Period. And when guys say, free him, when guys say, she asked for, the biggest thing is, would you want your daughter to be around that situation? Even when women, and we get it, but it's interesting when they say free him. It's like, are you hearing what's being talked about? Are you hearing what's being said? Would you want your mother getting hit upside the head with um a hanger? Would you want your daughter constantly being physically grabbed or touched or feeling fear? Would you want your daughter And this is the biggest thing. This is one thing me and one of my friends talked about. He expected her to be with other people. Where they do that at? You just lending your girl off to somebody else and you want to watch? Where they do that at? Y'all, the situation that they were in was interesting. Then I saw a video in regards to him sitting down with Young Miami, and Young Miami saying he don't sleep. We he don't sleep. And how long can you go for it? And this dude don't sleep. Let him know how long you go for it. He. So it wasn't just Cassie. So I want people to stop thinking that this was what she went through. What did some of the other girlfriends go through? So until we get the other women that he dealt with or slept with, this might be a pattern of what he expected. Or he kept Cassie around so long so that way his needs would be met. And she was almost like, okay, cool. Because if I don't do, my phone will be taken away, my car will be taken away, he'll be knocking on my door. She had no peace. She had no peace. And then they said, oh, you moved near or by your mom. Yes, she did. Because if she was going to go on tour, the family needed to help. If she was going to be away, if she was going to sell the books, the family needed to be there to help with the children. So I kind of need people to think outside. So it was reported that Carrie and Cassie, after the hangar incident, Cassie had said something to her about you're kind of milking it. Well, when she's been having so many situations with him, he's probably saying, this is what you need to say to her. You need to get this straightened out. You need to make sure she understands, da 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 da. So he's probably coming at Cassie of what to say or do. And this is your friend messing up what we got going on. And, he could have been like, we trying to do this tour, and here's your friend bothering me about something I didn't mean to do. You know what I'm saying? So then when women are going through situations and they don't get out, they make excuses. Oh, they were tired. Oh, they were on a substance. Oh, I should have had the eggs done 10 minutes before, but then I was talking on the phone and he was saying he was ready to go and he had a meeting and I should have had them done 10 minutes before. So women sometimes make excuses. This whole situation, and people are going to talk about it for years. This whole situation in regards to Diddy Cassie was toxic, period. Very, very toxic. And they were on stuff. They were on stuff. And it's gross to where men want their women to be with somebody else and you're getting them from different situationships. And mind you, the things he had Cassie doing, he was the one that was extremely well off. Let's say that. But let's take a step back because people are coming in. Like the videos, you guys come in. Please double tap the screen and don't forget to subscribe. How would you feel if you heard your friend, your mother, your aunt, or your niece was at a job and a boss expected her to do what Cassie did? I want you to sleep with, or your niece or your mother started dating someone and your mother is expected to sleep with or do XY, or they're grabbing. You wouldn't like it. So when men are saying, free him. So you'd be okay if your mama dated a man like him? You'd be okay if your niece dated a dude like him? You'd be okay if your daughter dated a dude like him? No, you would not be, sir. And men that are out there doing situationships like this is concerning. And there's women that do a power trip on guys too. There are women, so it's men and women. So you got to be careful who you date. You got to be careful who you spend time with. You got to be careful what the surroundings are. A dude might be cool or a girl might be cool to date, and then they start showing their true colors. So when Diddy told Cassie this is what he's into, she should have said, no, sir, I'd rather go back to my ex. I'm not doing that. What do you mean you want me to sleep with other men? Excuse me? What? Where they do that at? And you want to sit back and watch? And then at times you want to grab on me? And at times I'm in another city or state and then I can only be with you at certain times, but then you don't want me to date other people? Where they do that at? So there was a control, gross, exactly, gross situation there. Controlled, gross situation. As soon as he said that this is what he was into, Cassie should have said no. I want to focus on the music. And maybe she should have did that from the beginning. I only want to focus on the music because do you guys realize when she was like, it became a full-time job doing the FOs. You should have never got into it, because when you're with a man that's controlling, he's going to want to keep controlling that situation to keep you busy and get his needs and wants are. Period. He's going to want to keep you busy for his needs and wants to be met. Your needs and wants take a bottom. They're to the bottom. Your needs and wants are not fairly met. And if your needs are met, your needs and wants are met, they're very minimum. And he wants you to celebrate those small victories. Celebrate the small victories. Oh, I took you to a party. Oh, I did this red carpet. Did y'all see that short I did when Diddy, Cassie, R.I.P. to Kim Porter, and Kim Porter were with the kids? Cassie was off to the side, just smiling like, I can't believe you just got me off to the side like this. She was the side girl, period. She was a side girl, the fun girl, and did XYZ. But let's go here. Be kind in the comments, you guys. Be kind in the comments. There were so many choices that were made, exactly, and it's concerning. But any of us, if you go into the music industry, would you want your boss talking to you this way? Would you expect your boss to have you sleeping with someone? No, you would say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Fire me if you want. So they had a business relationship, they had a dating relationship, and then she was fulfilling his needs on his desires. So there was a lot there. So maybe whoever else he was dating outside of Cassie wasn't fulfilling those needs, and she was the side girl to fill that need. Women, be careful. Mothers teach your daughters different. Make sure your needs are met. A man should treat you like a queen. You should treat a man like a king. But there should be some boundaries. And you guys got to realize too that these messages are being read for a reason. And can I ask you guys a question? Why do you think it's so gross? Why do you think that it's just Cassie they're focusing on? Will his other girlfriends speak up and speak out? Well, now it's also being reported that a guy that was hired to work with Diddy, in the interview he said something about um, they had him doing a bunch of stuff before he got hired. And then they were like, well, why should we hire? And he's like, can't stop, won't stop. And that he's like a king and we're to treat him like this is his kingdom or something. Something that was said in the courtroom. So you got to be careful who you work for. If there's a power struggle, if they're controlling, and if your feelings don't matter. If your feelings don't matter, it almost feels like Cassie was in a situation where her feelings, his needs were above hers. Her wants, her needs. Oh, I want to get married. I want to have children. Did they even cover? Did Cassie at any time get pregnant by him or any of the in the FOs? Because at times they weren't using protection. You got me all the way mixed up. I don't know who these people are with. And then you got to realize too, we'll go deep and I'll be general. You got to be careful what touches you. You got to be careful what touches you. Do you understand? You can't let everybody pray over you. You can't let everybody touch you because what is inserted, that's gross. Hello? They could have X, Y, or Z and you don't know. And then Cassie's to leave that FO and then go in the room with the diddler, and then you want stuff rubbed on you. What? And constant baby oils, and you're going to hotels. You're not bringing this around your kids. You understand? You're not bringing this around your kids. So then the kids are in the courtroom, and then they of course have to leave the courtroom because it becomes too graphic. Hello, hello. Okay, so let's get to some court stuff. I just kind of sometimes in the beginning I kind of have to generally speak. I get why Carrie, and then you got to realize the friend Carrie, Cassie's friend, that was friends for years. They were friends for years. She said, why are you here? She was like, I was basically called to be here. You want to testify? No, not really. So she's kind of like, I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. But do you realize some of Cassie's friends, how they would stay by Cassie's side, and then Cassie would be like, oh, my friend told me to leave you. And then the friends looked at by him saying, don't be telling her that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful who you're friends with. Remember how some people will say, oh, I keep giving advice to a friend and they don't listen. I keep giving this advice and they don't listen. You got to stay away from them because they won't listen. They're going to stay in a toxic situation until they're ready to leave. So, no reason to stress you out. yourself out when people don't want to listen if they're in a toxic situation. No reason to stress yourself out if people are in a toxic situation. Okay, so we're going to get to a few clips. Today is going to be where we're going to talk about the friendships, situationships, and you got to realize some people, like some of my friends will be like, oh, I gave them advice, they don't listen. And then some women will be like, I was in a relationship, and as I'm saying, I'm happy I'm out the relationship, they think about all that they went through when in that relationship. Does that make sense? You know, one of my friends was saying, it was about a month ago, 2 months ago, she was sitting down talking with some of her relatives, and they were like, oh, what happened to you and that guy? And she was like, oh, this was going on, that was going on, they were never happy, they were never satisfied, and everything I try and do, they was always complaining. So she said she was happy she got out of that situation, but when she was in it, it's like, oh, that's no big deal because we laugh, we have a good time. But then as you're out of it, it's like you realize the negative stuff outweighed and it drains you. So Cassie was probably drained from the whole situation. Okay, so we're going to get to some videos, you guys. I thank everyone for being here. Let's get to it. Like the video, like the video as you guys come in. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before and where you're watching from. Please hit the like button. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. All you have to do, please, 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 hit the like button. And that's just a double tapping of the screen. If you double tap the screen, it'll give you a big old thumbs up. Just double tap the screen if you're watching from a phone. Continue to double tap the screen and support the channel. That's how everyone knows we're live. That's how everyone knows we're live. Okay, so let's get to the clip.
Screaming and then with a closed fist.
Hold on.
For the first time, the public can see the stark visual evidence of the violence Cassie testified that she suffered at the hands of
Thanks
Combs.
for hitting the like. Thank you, thank you.
Disturbing. The government releasing a new batch of images showing injuries Cassie described, plus thousands of dollars of cash found in.
Did y'all see those videos that they released yesterday of Cassie's images? I couldn't post it. I couldn't do it. I saw the videos of her eye, her lip, and then there was bruises on her back. Nobody would want that for their mother, their daughter, and their nieces. Nobody would want that for their family, period. Continue to hit the like button, you guys. Thank you, thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Fanny pack, drugs, and baby oil, all allegedly used during the sex parties witnesses have detailed. Earlier in the day, Dawn Richard, a former member of the girl group Danity Kane, wrapped up her testimony against Combs. She allegedly saw Combs abuse Cassie multiple times and urged Cassie to leave him. She testified about one incident saying, quote, Puff and Cassie were in the hallway arguing. He punched her in the face. Sean Combs punched her in the face. But on cross-examination, the defense questioning Richard about changing her story several times over the years. Also taking the stand today, Cassie Ventura's former best friend, Carrie Morgan. She described witnessing Combs assaulting Cassie twice, the first time in a home Combs was renting in the Hollywood Hills. Morgan testified that, quote, I saw him push her. I'm pretty sure he hit her. The second time, allegedly.
See, and what they're trying to do in court, what did you see and what did you hear? She looked normal when I was with her, but then as she came out the room, I would hear certain stuff. Or later on, an hour or two, I would see a darker spot on her. So I think it's almost like they're really trying to discredit a lot of people that's trying to testify. Y'all notice that too? That's concerning. He's on trial. Why am I being tried to be made a liar? You know what I'm saying? Not everybody is wrong. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Let's continue. Thanks for being here, everyone. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Thanks for being here.
Happened in Jamaica. Morgan says they were in the bar area of a home when, quote, I heard her screaming. She recalled guttural, terrifying screams. Combs faces the possibility of life in prison if convicted. He's pleaded not guilty and has denied all wrongdoing. We have our team of reporter and analysts closely following the case from inside the courtroom. Coming up a little later, we're joined in the studio by one of Sean Combs' close friends who has been at court every day of this trial. But we begin in Lower Manhattan with our chief investigative correspondent.
Did y'all see that Gene Dill came to court yesterday? Gene Dill was walking in. He was talking about different things. Go check out his video. I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, Gene Dill showed up to court yesterday. Let's continue. Good morning, Virginia. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please continue to hit the like button. Just double tap the screen. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Aaron Katursky, he was in court all day. He joins us now outside the federal courthouse. Aaron, former Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money member Dawn Richard back on the witness stand today. She says she saw Diddy punch Cassie Ventura in the face. What was the reaction in the courtroom?
You know, I think this jury has heard so much already that has been so graphic and disturbing that any one instance Eva hasn't necessarily caused a reaction. The jury was much more interested, I think, in the cross-examination as her accounts were challenged. But this involved a festival in Central Park where apparently Diddy Dirty Money was going to be announced as a band. She and her bandmate Kalina Harper were with Cassie Ventura getting ready in a bathroom in Combs's home, or his apartment, she testified, when heard screaming, and then with a closed fist saw that Sean Combs had hit Cassie Ventura in the face. And what was notable was how she followed up the testimony that Cassie started crying, came into the bathroom, and immediately started putting on copious amounts of makeup, and she wore sunglasses to the festival to try and cover up the injury. And Dawn Richard said she and Kalina Harper donned sunglasses also, a form of solidarity.
There were some things, Aaron, that Richard was not allowed to talk about on the stand. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, the defense had tried to limit the scope of her testimony, in some cases successfully, because the defense believes that much of Richard's account and much of the prosecutor's whole case is based on gossip about what people heard, about stories people would tell about Sean Combs. So she couldn't get into any of that. But what she witnessed, she said, was Sean Combs try to take a swing at Cassie Ventura with a frying pan, the instance where punched her with a closed fist, and then another instance in Los Angeles that she said she witnessed when Sean Combs punched Cassie Ventura in the stomach at a restaurant. They were there having dinner with other celebrities, she said, to include Usher and Neo at the time.
You mentioned the jury was...
So y'all heard about that. Celebrities' names were mentioned. Fair use, reaction clip. Let's continue. Continue. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. Continue to hit the like button. There's about 661 in the building. If I can please get 600 people to please subscribe. Please subscribe and turn on the notification. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
Much more interested in what happened during
So
the cross-examination.
concerning.
What happened?
The cross-examination involved defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland challenging Dawn Richard's memory and her accounts, which she noted in some cases changed up to 4 times when she recalled specifics one way and then another and then another and then another. And finally, Dawn Richard said she was recalling things to the best of her ability, but the defense sought to portray her as someone whose memory could not be relied on by the jury, somebody who was out for money, who sued her, Sean Combs, in civil court, and somebody who may have been out more for revenge because she was angry that Sean Combs eventually dismantled the 2 groups she was part of, Diddy Dirty Money, and before that, Danity Kane.
I also want to talk about the reported freak-off in 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. That came up again today. Carrie Morgan was on the stand. That was Cassie Ventura's former best friend. What did Carrie say happened after that incident?
So let's listen to what Carrie has to say. Like I said, she is Cassie's friend. They were friends for many years. And then all of a sudden, what happened? She then gets touched by or injured. And then her and Cassie's friendship break up. This is a situation with a man wanting to separate you from people. It'll seem like, and then some people will say, this is a bad situation, I'm leaving. Carrie got injured too. That's not a good thing. How would you feel if your daughter's dating somebody and then her best friend gets injured? You wouldn't want that. Or your daughter is dating somebody, he tries to put his hands on the mother. That would be crazy. Or try and put hands on the aunt. That's crazy. So her friend getting injured is crazy to me. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip. Continue to keep pressing 1, you guys, to double tap the screen. Double tap the screen to hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use. This is sad. In the bigger scheme of things, it's sad. And what his team saw is sad. And then they would say Cassie will tell people, don't tell me to leave him. It's almost like it's saying right here. Diddy's former assistant testifies Cassie told him, I can't get out. Cassie was saying she couldn't get out. They would send people to Cassie's home. The team, take her phone. You know what I'm saying? It was basically saying she felt she couldn't get out. And some of the friends around Cassie was saying, what can I say to her? I told her to leave him. And then she told. And it could be maybe he had overheard. What did that person just say to you? They told me to get out. And then he says to her, what are you doing telling my girl that? You know what I'm saying? So then they're fearful. It's like, if you could treat your own girl like this in front of me, who am I? Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
Cassie Ventura left the Intercontinental Hotel, went back to her apartment, her home, and there was Carrie Morgan waiting. She said immediately she saw the black eye that Ventura had testified Combs gave her after the freak-off got violent, and the whole reason why then the subsequent assault in the hallway happened. And then Carrie Morgan said about a half hour later, Sean Combs starts banging on the door with a hammer. It was not let in, but she said she heard him yelling, finally called some of Combs' staff members to try to get him to leave. Police were called, but Cassie Ventura said, and Carrie Morgan backed this up, that nothing ever came of it because Cassie Ventura refused to say anything about Sean Combs and what happened to her.
Aaron, I have to ask you, because Combs was sitting just feet away from Dawn Richard and Carrie Morgan in court today. How did he react to seeing them and hearing all of this?
He's been an attentive
Good
listener.
morning,
In some
good
cases,
morning.
He would shake his head or nod along or consult with his lawyers, scribbling a lot of notes. This was an important part of the testimony because it made a turn, Eva. The jury had heard from Cassie Ventura directly about, in rather explicit terms, a lot of the sex acts, but the prosecution's whole case is that she was coerced into that sex because of the violence, the kind of violence that both Don Richard and Carrie Morgan said they witnessed. Now, the defense says there are other reasons for the violence. Jealousy, drugs, didn't have anything to do with coercing her into sex. But the prosecutors want the jury to hear these accounts to say that Cassie Ventura was not only telling the truth about being beat up, but that she had reason to then go along with Sean Combs' sexual demands.
Aaron Kotursky for us there outside the courthouse. Thank you so much, Aaron. Then let's bring it in.
So I couldn't imagine. He had a need. She alleged fulfilled that need, and she was on stuff. Period. I would not want my daughter being in the music industry and she starts to date her boss and he got her out here sleeping around, not producing proper music, and he's able to, not out here really assisting her. Go back and look up. Cassie was not a young stupid girl. She was in modeling, so she was out there doing things. So it was kind of like, you got to be careful who your daughters date. Men will try and select them to fulfill a need. I have some of my friends are extremely bright, intelligent. They'll have these men that they're trying to date. The men will see that they're very intelligent. Well, hey babe, why don't we get into this together? No, I'm busy, I work. Well, hey babe, you're smart. Why don't you help me, create this business? No, dude, that's your responsibility. So you got to be careful with crafty people trying to get you to do stuff to help them because they don't have the wherewithal to create that business. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful. So as Cassie, she should have realized after 6 months of being with him, after 6 months, if the music wasn't pushed out, even after 2 years, if the music wasn't going anywhere, she should have left that situation after 2 years. This stuff ain't going nowhere. My music ain't going nowhere. And that's what I'm seeking. And she stayed for so long. 8, 9, 10, 11 years. That's a long time. And then when you saw that the FOs became a job outside of what you love, that was going to constantly be dangled over her head. Who's definitely single? I know you freaking lying. He looking at me right now. What? I know you freaking lying. I am happy in the situation I'm in. And a lot of my friends are in good relationships. And it's been told, I'm happy in the situation I'm in. We laugh, we giggle, we have a good old time. I'm grateful that a lot of my friends are in happy relationships because they know we don't play. If you gonna go out there and cheat, you're gonna lose everything you got. And I have some good friends that are smart, bright, and I have some that's single and a lot that's married. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of my friends, they don't play. They don't play. And that's a good thing that a lot of my friends don't play. It's a good thing to have healthy relationships. And then we have some that they're struggling. They're struggling because of the choices and the people they choose to date, and even our good guy friends or boyfriends that have decent dudes. Sometimes the friends we try and hook them up with, they're better off as friends. They just don't see eye to eye. And sometimes you got to realize men are brought up a certain way, women are brought up a certain way. And if you're not evenly yoked, sometimes you have to say we're better off as friends. And we can still stay within the good friend group that we're having. So, and even if I was, so what? I am what I am, but I'm in a happy situation. And I'm grateful for that. I don't play about stupid stuff. So I'm wishing Cassie well, but you got to realize that's why on the show we always talk about I don't wish bad on mothers or daughters or sons. Sons being in the healthy situations too. We talk about both situations. So let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
ABC News legal contributor and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Bernardo de Lona, who was also inside of that courtroom today. Okay, so I want to start with just big picture today. What were some of the
Yes, you're right. A lot of people do stay because they hear about their single friends struggling. They hear about their single friends trying to date again after being in a 5-year relationship, after being in a 10-year marriage. Some people do stay, and some people stay until they find better, and then the other person don't even know that they're looking for something better. But it takes time. It takes time. You know what I mean? And then some of our single friends, they say, no, that seems like a married group thing. I'm not going to go, and it's like, okay, we get it. But so-and-so's going to come. It's like, yeah, but I don't want him to get the idea that I like him like that. So sometimes when we do different stuff, it could be a girls guys, or it's a marriage thing. So it sometimes we get that our single friends don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, look how he loves on her. Oh my gosh, look how he kisses on her. Oh my gosh, look how he, hugs her from behind. Some of our single friends don't want to see that. They struggle, and we get it. But our married friends or our dating friends aren't going to stop being who we are because our single friend is struggling. You know what I'm saying? So couples struggle. Cassie made a choice. Diddy. And then this is the thing. Did y'all see when it said that Diddy felt that he could mold her, or she was kind of, he could do whatever. That's kind of how he felt. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
That stood out to you. So big picture today, just like how Aaron stated. So in terms of the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments is when Carrie Morgan testified. And when she specifically testified is to give us the back end of what happened after that Intercontinental video. So she states that Cassie was in the house and of course had that visible black eye. But in addition to that, while she was sitting there, that Sean Combs came to the door banging with a hammer continuously to the point where officers responded to the location hours later. But guess who didn't call the police? Carrie Morgan didn't call the police, nor did Cassie call the police. So it must have been loud enough that neighbors called the police and eventually responded to the location. But unfortunately, Cassie, she wasn't cooperative with the police and didn't even provide them with identification. Dawn Rashad finished her testimony today. Give us the cliff notes here. So in terms of Dawn Rashad, now dealing with Dawn Rashad, look.
Now y'all tell me this. Y'all know when there's certain situations and the police is called, if Cassie's not willing to tell anything, sometimes different states will pick up the case and they'll, pursue the person that's being very aggressive. You know what I'm saying? In certain situations, if the girl don't want to file the charges, sometimes certain cities or state, they'll pick it up. So I'm surprised that no state or city picked up any charges regarding him. You know what I'm saying? You'll hear different things. Oh, okay, a girlfriend didn't want to say anything about the husband. Oh, a girlfriend didn't want to testify against a boyfriend. Sometimes you don't have no choice. The state or the city will pick that up. I'm not a lawyer. It's not legal advice. But I'm just saying certain things are picked up whether the girl or the husband or wife wants to do anything at all. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Her testimony, short during direct examination, she did fine on Friday. But remember, you can't tell how good a witness is until they get to cross-examination. And the defense did an excellent job with Dawn Rashad today because, like was stated, she gave different versions as to what this assault took place, how it took place, whether Cassie was struck with the frying pan, whether he threw it to the wall, or whether he threatened her. It was 4 different versions, and the defense was able to cross-examine and weaken her credibility and also show that she has an axe to grind. You already mentioned the second witness today, Cassie Ventur's former best friend, Carrie Morgan. What did Carrie have to say? So let me tell you, Carrie Morgan is crucial, and she came crucial because she comes off as credible. Because one of the first
Carrie didn't want to be there. Carrie grabbed her money and left. Allegedly, Carrie, Cassie's friend, was granted $30,000 because of the injuries she experienced. And people were like, that's not a lot of money. Probably for a young girl back then, probably was a lot of money. But he never should have injured Carrie either. And people aren't talking about that. That's weird. I wish somebody would try and injure my friend. He already putting his hands on Cassie and then your friend get injured. So you got to be careful having your friends around people, period. Let's continue fair use. And you can't let everybody around your family and friends. So if you need to go somewhere safe and be cool and have some space from your dude because he tripping out, you can't take everybody around your family and friends. Real talk. Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
Statements that she made is that she came here because she was compelled to testify. She no longer speaks to Cassie Ventura. They stopped talking in 2018 after this incident having to deal with where she was assaulted by Sean Combs, where Sean Combs grabbed her by the neck and also threw a wooden hanger at her. But also that it led to Cassie giving her $30,000 so she wouldn't say anything about that specific incident, and that was the end of their relationship. She also corroborated 2 of the assaults that took place having to deal with Cassie in terms of her being drugged and as well as her being punched. So she corroborated a lot of the testimony, but she came off as a neutral witness, and the defense wasn't able to break her as they wanted to, but was able to.
You think it's a distraction from something bigger? Possibly. And you got to realize, we've been looking at different celebrities like, what you doing? What you got going on? You don't normally react like this. You doing a lot in the media right now. I talked about that in one of my shorts. And you're right. You hang around the dogs, you'll get fleas. That's right. So there's a lot going on. And then this is the biggest thing. I heard like an ex-Fed talk last night. That was a pretty good video. He talked about what was transpiring in the courtroom, when the investigation happened, when Diddy got arrested, some great things that they did right, some things they didn't do right, how they want the bigger cases. how they're going to present things, how people are going to be cross-examined. So last night was very interesting listening to that ex-Fed talked about the actual case, the things he likes, what he doesn't like, how they're presenting things, how they're cross-examining people. So certain people are really paying attention to certain things, but there's a lot. Did y'all see the pictures of Cassie yesterday that was released? Did y'all see the pictures that was released of Cassie? It was so concerning. Beautiful girl. And they would often say she would try and protect her face. She would try and protect her face. And a lot of times he would injure in certain areas. Man, she went through a lot. Couldn't be me. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Say that, look, it was still a loving relationship. People have been critical of the defense. How do you think they did today on cross? So today they were able to rebound. Now this defense, so we're looking at Mark Agnifilo. Mark Agnifilo was the person who cross-examined Carrie Morgan. So remember, with every witness, you're not going to get a Matlock moment.
Good morning.
He was able to get bits and pieces from Carrie Morgan in the sense of saying, like, look, they were in a loving relationship. You know, you had told them to break up, but you also told them to stay together because of how much they loved each other. Also was able to get, like, look, there were a lot of good times. There were a lot of fun times.
Yeah, his eyes don't lie. Have you guys noticed him from 5 years ago and then him recently? His eyes did change. Have y'all noticed that? 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he looked different. And now he looks so different now in the eyes, in the face. The face is like almost, look at his eyes. So concerning. And then go look at a picture from him 5 or 6 years ago. Even there, in the other picture, you notice his eyes are like so different. Now that picture, he got glasses on, and maybe that's why he would often do glasses, because he was on substances. Even there, but right there, ooh-wee, that seems like a dark, dark side. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Continue to hit the like button, you guys. There's about 480 in the building. Please subscribe to the page and turn on your notification. If you're watching from a phone, double tap the screen, please, to hit the like. Double tap the screen, please, to hit the like, and thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. And there is a picture showing that Cassie and Alex was out and about. So this was yesterday or the day before that they were out and about.
Out of party times. This was something that was normal amongst each other, but they did great today. Let's talk about what we're seeing today. Photos from Diddy's 2016 hotel room from the Intercontinental have now been entered into evidence. The images show baby oil, medication, substances that tested positive for ketamine. Yeah, we've got the pictures right here. Why do these photos matter? So this is really important. It's important in the sense that on the day that Sean Combs was arrested, this is what they found inside of his hotel room. And what they specifically found is what Cassie had been talking about all along. The setup for the freak off. There was a strobe light that was there. The drugs, the money, the baby oil. And specifically in terms of the money, remember that the second witness that testified, Mr. Phillip, that he was paid somewhere in a couple $100 up to $6,000. There was $9,000 that was recovered here, but hey, inflation, everything has gone up, right? So this testimony and these photographs actually corroborate the testimony of Cassie, and I'm sure that's going to corroborate the other testimony of witnesses that are going to
So even the day before he's supposed to turn himself in, they arrested him, and he was still trying to do FOs. It wasn't just about Cassie, and I think people need to realize that. It wasn't just about Cassie. So who was the girl? And was he going to sit back and watch again? Gross. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
But pretty much showing a pattern of what these freak offs encompass. And again, these found the day he was arrested. Yes, years later, and still we're freaking off. Leonardo, thank you so much for being here. And still ahead, why there's so much interest in rapper Young Miami when it comes to this trial. And up next,
and did y'all realize they released the pictures of the people in regards to FOs? I didn't want to post it on the short. They released the pictures of Cassie and what she went through. They released the pictures of the guys in the FOs.
These close friends spanning decades joins me live here in the studio. Stay with us.
Absolutely not.
You seem pretty confident about. Why are you so confident?
Like the video. Like the video. Fair use reaction clip.
Because that's not who he is. Those are allegations, right? And they have to prove the allegations. They have to prove that. I've seen nothing, and no one else seen that. The only thing you're hearing about is domestic violence. You're not hearing anything about the sex trafficking. You're not hearing nothing. I'm waiting for the government to show us everything that they promised us. I'm talking about the viewers, friends, family. You said he did all these hellacious and crazy things.
What about day 1 and 2? When they talked about as they traveled. Hello. Let's continue. Fair use. People want to hear what they want to hear. Let's continue. Fair use.
Let's talk about some of what we heard in court. We've heard the testimony from Cassie, a lot about how he's controlled her life. Did you know him to be a controlling man?
Not really. I mean,
hesitation.
I mean,
choosing the nail polish and the clothes and the
when
hairstyles.
when you're in the music business, right, and you're creative and you're an executive producer, you can't just have your artists just running out, just any way they want to look. There's a look they have to have, right? She has to be clean. Her nails have to be done. Her hair has to be. It's a certain style you give the artist. And Bad Boy had a certain type of style that the artist presented. They represented Bad Boy.
Where was the line between artist and his girlfriend?
I don't. You would have to ask them on that. I don't know. All I know is that when you're developing an artist, you have an idea of how you want that artist to look. Prince didn't really walk outside with chaps. Really walk around the street like that, right?
You have an artist on how you want them to look, but you're asking them to do FOs. That's steering away from the music. So this is what we're talking about, y'all. Hollywood, Hollyweird. There's concern in Hollywood, period. Fair use reaction clip. This is some crazy work. You're right. And like I said, a jury's going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing. He's innocent until proven guilty. I've said that from day one. A jury's going to have to decide. But if you're on a job, you're a creative musician, you don't want to be expected to do X, Y, Z. There's a concern in Hollywood, period. And there's a rise and fall in a lot of some of people's favorite artists, period. Choices that were made. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
But that was his image, and that's what he needed. Michael Jackson didn't walk around the way he did when he walked on stage with the one glove and the shiny stuff. It's the image, and you have to stick with that image if you're trying to create an artist a look. You have to go with the look.
There have been some shocking things discussed in court. The freak-offs, for one. Did you know about the freak-offs?
No.
You didn't know about the freak-offs. When you heard about the freak-offs, what were happening? Were you surprised?
No, I just thought that was a personal business. It was two consenting adults doing grown consenting adult things that they like to do.
Did you ever see or know of Diddy to get violent with Cassie or with anyone else?
No.
You never saw any violence at all?
Never.
The surveillance video that is of the hotel that has become pretty infamous at this point. When you watch that video, what do you see?
I see. What I see. I see him in a domestic situation.
Hesitation.
With a girlfriend. And
when a man is on some BS is when he hesitating. You got to think about what you about to say. You saw that video. You would not want your daughter trying to leave a situation, get into an elevator. And like I said, Cassie and Diddy both had issues. But you saw her trying to leave. What did he do? And if he was trying to take his phone, all he would have had to do is put his hand out saying, "Can I please have my phone?" He didn't have to grab her like that. This guy would not want his daughter or mother or aunt or nieces to go through that. Nobody will want their son going through that, whoever they're dating. You understand? Yeah, that's allegedly the nickname they gave him. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. So when men are sticking up for, or women are sticking up for, they're not saying, "Oh, I'd be okay if my daughter went through that. Oh, I'd be okay if my mom went through that." Please, stop playing. Let's continue. Fair use. This is a sad situation.
It wasn't good. It's never good. It's never good for a man to put a hand on a woman or one to put a hand on a man. Everybody should keep their hands to themselves. But that's domestic, and that's not what he's being charged with. He's being charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution. I want to stick to, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that because that's.
So Cassie testified that was the one.
So if they were out of the state or out of the city and they were traveling doing these FOs, then what is that called, sir? Let's continue. Fair use.
Time she tried to leave a freak off. The defense has said she was free to go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she was free to leave?
Yes, I agree with the defense. They know more than I would know. That's not my area of expertise. But looking at it and understanding and hearing the testimonies, yes, I agree with them.
So when she tried to get in the elevator, why didn't he say bye, Cassie? No, he didn't want her to get in that elevator. We saw what happened in that video. And they put that video out so people would understand how serious situations were with Cassie and Diddy. They put that video out because most men, prior to the video being put out, men were like, "Oh no, him and Cassie was cool. They loved each other. There was no problems. People are making up stuff." That's what the industry talking about. But as soon as that video came out, "Oh man, you shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have put your hands on." Yeah, you shouldn't have put your hands on. Oh man. At first, I thought everything was cool with them. And then it shut a lot of people up after they saw that video. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
The drug addiction, the drug use, did you know about that?
No, I did not.
Did you hear about the overdose? Did you have any idea?
Never about that.
You guys are pretty close. I mean, 35 years.
Yeah. But certain things, you don't tell the closest people everything. You tell them something, but you don't tell them everything. Because there's a life and there's a private life. And that was his private life. That was their private life. And they shared that moment amongst them too.
I have to ask you, because people have noticed you and Sean Combs exchanging looks in the courtroom.
Yes.
What are the looks about?
He's telling me, "Don't worry about him. He's okay. He's focused." He's selfless. So he's concerned about how I feel, how his sister feels, how his mom feels.
Okay, so what the guy that they're talking to worked with Diddy, associate with Diddy. He actually has a free Diddy shirt on. So this could actually be Diddy's friend asking people to wear free Diddy shirts. That's what this could be. Other people are trying to say, oh, people were paid. We don't know what's going on. And you got to be careful of some of these YouTubers that's still doing clickbait. You got YouTubers that's lying. You got YouTubers that's at the trial trying to connect with people. Now, watch what's going to happen. There's certain people, certain YouTubers will steal people's content. They'll pay attention to what content a person is doing and they'll try and take it as their own for their niche. I've had it happen. There's certain YouTubers that's out there in front of standing in line trying to be at the trial because they needed different media attention because people were calling them a liar. You saying this person no longer here. People were calling them out for clickbait. So you got to be careful. That's why we listen to the news of what's really going on. Like the video, double tap the screen. Like the video, double tap the screen. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
He's telling everybody to be calm. I don't want y'all all upset. He's in jail worried about us.
Because you've been walking his family in every day.
Yes.
Are you going to be there tomorrow?
I'm going to be there every day.
Every day till the trial's over?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Diddy's in jail.
Coming up, Cassie Ventura's former best friend, Carrie Morgan, takes the stand, and there was a lot of interest in her online. What we know about her and why she says she had a falling out with Cassie.
Good morning. Good morning, Paris. How are you, dear? Yeah, there's so much on regarding Diddy. You have no idea what's true or not. I would say, I don't normally, you and I talk, but YouTube, Armand is doing a great job covering it. Make It Make Sense is doing a great job covering it too. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, Armand is doing a great job, and Make It Make Sense is doing a great job. So when you listen to certain YouTubers, if they're not doing clickbait, they're okay to listen to because they're just covering what's in the news. But there are some that's saying people didn't died and, trying to. There was a story. Remember how Justin's mom, she's injured. She's just coming to support the child. Then there's a somebody trying to say, oh, this is the truth of. People are, whenever they're doing clickbait, that's where you kind of got to stay away from. They're doing media just to cover the media for a paycheck. You will see when people are engulfed in it and they're just lying and lying, you could tell that they're lying. So I listen to Armand, I listen to Make It Make Sense, and then there's other legal pages that I listen to. So, people that's covering the legal documents. There's people that have the transcripts as well. So I noticed certain people that have the transcripts. But by the time they got the transcripts, we already heard because people were in the courtroom. So there's people in the courtroom typing stuff too. So yeah, it's like you just got to be careful. And not a lot of YouTubers, we don't know everything. We may cross-reference stuff or, mix up a little. But when you still doing clickbait at this stage, this grown age, that's a concern. Oh, that was played in court. And then some people were trying to say, and then you got to watch certain titles too. Have y'all noticed? And I don't know if this is true. They were saying something happened in court on Friday, but a lot of people that I listened to didn't say something happened in court on Friday. Yeah, I don't know, Paris, about that one. But yeah, so there's actual bot pages too. So those I stay away from because that's just information I don't need in my Rolodex. I try and bring y'all the truth. And you got to realize my page, we debunk stuff over here. And I'm cautious about what I tell y'all, but I'll go tell you to research something. So if I hear certain things, I'll tell y'all to research. Won't I, Paris? I'll give you the kind of 411 and then you go look it up. We had talked like 8-9 months ago. We had talked about Ray J was in some situationship. We talked about that. So there are certain things, if I hear it, I'll debunk it and then I'll tell you where to go find it. You know what I'm saying? So I cover what I can. So let's continue with this fair use reaction clip. Yeah, girl, are you surprised? And I'm up early, Paris. I'm up early. I've been going in early. I've been doing my videos very early. Yeah, I'll tell you guys where to look for stuff because I can cover certain things, but I look at a broader situation. There's like a legal guy I listened to this morning. There's a legal guy I listened to last night. So there's certain things. I may only listen for 5 minutes. My dude don't play. Okay, babe, I'm gonna let you get your information in because I know you are your information receiver. I can almost listen to two things at once and then cut it off. Say, okay, yep, okay, let me cut it off. Yeah, I can pull information and retain it. Good. And sometimes I may get things wrong because I might have heard the beginning and not the end, but I give you the general gist of what it is. Oh, you're waiting for. Oh, okay, that's cute. Mm, yeah. So yeah, I've been trying to go live earlier because I find that certain people that watch me listen to me and they watch my shorts. So I kind of been going on earlier or later so they don't try and steal my idea or content too. So I think I'm kind of somewhat the voice of reason. That's how a lot of people look at me. But I noticed certain things. So I had to stop listening to them because it's like, dang, I said that. You use all my bullet points. So certain people I stopped listening to. But there, have you ever noticed when people say they can't listen to people because they don't want to take their sayings or their same words? See, I come up with my own stuff. And you could tell I come up with my own stuff. So I like to listen to very bright, intelligent people. Like a friend of mine didn't even know Cassie was pregnant. One of my friends, a lot of people don't follow this stuff. They had no idea Cassie was pregnant. They had no idea Cassie was pregnant. They had no idea she had kids. They had no idea she had a husband. So some of my friends are so cute. They have no idea. And only certain friends know what I do because I have people in my life who want me to teach them everything. So I just don't have time. So not a lot of people, know what I do because then they would be like, "Oh, help me with this. Oh, do this." I got my own stuff. So, okay, let's continue fair use reaction clip.
When we come back.
Okay.
Profile trial in a segment we call Searched. Some of today's biggest search terms include Carrie Morgan, young.
And people need to be very patient. The trial, this is the second week. People need to be patient. Let them cook. Let them cook. Let's continue. Fair use.
Miami, Aubrey O'Day, and the question of whether Combs could walk free. ABC News contributor Kelly Carter joins us now from Los Angeles. She covers entertainment and pop culture for us. Okay, let's look at some of these searches. Cassie Ventura's former best friend took the stand today.
Okay, AI.
What do we know about her?
Yeah, here's what we know about her. She was a former model. The two of them met when they were teenagers and eventually lived together at some point. And she, on stand today, she testified that she was assaulted with a wooden hanger, and that action kind of ended her friendship with Cassie.
Could you imagine yo boo yo bae injuring your best friend? Hello? What you mean you didn't hit my friend? Now y'all got to remember when they said that Cassie's friend got injured, allegedly Paris. I'm looking at your name. They're saying that Cassie ran into a room and locked the door or ran into a room to get away from the diddler. So then it left Cassie's friend and Diddy in the same room. And so he was angered and frustrated to where he hit the friend. Could you imagine your man trying to hit your friend or your mama or your niece? It ain't happening. Both of us women about to jump this dude. You know what I'm saying? So that's sad that many people around him feared him, men and women alike. And then Dawn has said that you do too much, you say too much, you're going to end up missing. Hello? Why are some people allege? I ain't even going to say the rest, Paris. I'm going to be careful. Like the video.
Right. She also talked about traveling the world, essentially with her and spending time with Cassie and Sean Combs, and said that there was love there, in her testimony today.
Carisha Brownlee, aka Young Miami, coming up in a lot of searches. Why is everyone so interested in her relationship with Combs?
Yeah, Young Miami, who's a city girl, and she dated Sean Combs, and not only dated him, but had a podcast on his network, Revolt Network. And in the first podcast that she had, she sat down and interviewed him about their relationship. My guess is that podcast segment is probably going way up.
Nah, see, I just talked about the Young Miami situation, how she said Diddy like to go, and a lot of people say he don't sleep a lot. 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, he don't sleep a lot. Yeah, that's because he wants to be in control of everything that's going on, everything that's happening. Got to be careful with people like that. And this is the biggest thing. How many people are speaking good of the character? Okay, you assisted me. Yeah, what is it? Dirty Money. They seem to do okay, and then he pulled away from the group, which we get it, But how many people have done extremely well? If there's more than 20, okay, but a lot of them is less than 20, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say of how they felt around this person. Period. Let's continue. How would you feel if your boss treated you with disrespect like this? But Cassie made a choice, and so did Diddy. Like the video, fair use reaction clip.
With the numbers right now, because people are looking for clues or looking for anything that maybe
I'd have a problem if a guy attacked my friend.
Somehow, some way, shed a little bit of light about how he operates inside of relationships.
Another search we're seeing, Aubrey O'Day. Will she testify? Who is she? Why would she be important?
Aubrey O'Day is a former member of Diddy Kane, which obviously was the group that was founded on the iteration of making the band that Sean Combs oversaw. Listen, the people have been wanting to see Aubrey O'Day on the stand because she, quite frankly, has been very vocal about what she says are problematic things with Sean Combs. She actually had a solo reality show on Oxygen about 15 years back.
Now, are y'all going to be surprised that certain people aren't testifying? Alleged Aubrey's not testifying. Alleged Gene Deal may not be testifying. Are y'all surprised that certain people are not? Will Roger Bond, will all his bodyguards? Why are they selective of who is testifying? Let's pay attention to that when they're done towards the end. We may be questioning why certain people didn't testify. Aubrey says she's not. And is it because she's trying to write a book deal, or she don't want to get on that stand having issues like Dawn is having? I don't know. NDAs, yeah, true that. But then they're saying if you're called to, and then this is the other thing I talked about, Paris. Some of these people may have signed proffer agreements. You guys look that up. Some of these people may have signed proffer agreements so they don't go to jail. I think a lot of people are going to testify to keep themselves out of jail. And who was that? There was a law page I listened to regarding that. And that's making sense of certain people. Now, certain people like Dawn had a lawsuit against him. So that's why they're saying, okay, you're mad because your career is not. And, oh, you used to be famous and now you're not. So they were saying some interesting stuff to Dawn. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, the NDA should be null and void if there's criminal stuff happening. You know what I mean? Yeah, the NDA should be null and void. You know what I mean? So certain people, yeah. And then sometimes if you go look up the NDA, you couldn't talk about him, you couldn't talk about his children, and you couldn't talk about his mama. But if they want you to take the stand, just like Cassie's friend, she didn't want to, but she was called to. Probably because she got injured and they're trying to show injury. I want to hear from some of his other girlfriends, like a Young Miami and a Gina. Let's continue. Fair use.
And I remember, as I watched every episode of that show, it ended with her making a phone call to him. He did not pick up, but she really, kind of made the point that she wanted to release herself from what she said, were burdens, being tied
Good
to
morning.
Sean Combs at that time.
Lastly, we have the search, could Diddy walk free?
Yeah, everyone wants to know. I think we're seeing in real time people learning a little bit about the judicial system, which is interesting because unlike the OJ trial from 30 years ago, when we saw, a lot of what happened in courtroom, we're not seeing that. We're only reading about it, and people just want to know what's at stake and if he actually might be able to be found not guilty.
Kelly Carter.
The trial is still going on. Nobody's going to be able to say yes or no. People still need to testify. People still have to be cross-examined. And it's interesting because it's almost like they're trying to make the people that's testifying, they're trying to make them look bad. I get that Cassie wrote a book. She got the 20 million, then she got the 10 million. Now they're talking about Dawn, and they need to make sure those people that's taking that stands, they're propped and ready to go with every question, every situation. And if you don't know, you need to say, I don't know. I can't recall. Give me a minute to refresh my memory. Not everybody's going to remember everything. You could be talking with somebody and it's like, oh, dang, it could be the next day. Oh, that's that. You know what I'm saying? So when you're on the stand, you know what I'm saying? So Dawn had her chance Friday, and then she testified again a little bit on Monday. But they had her, I'm hearing from some of the pages I watch at night, Dawn did pretty good on 2 situations, but most of it, they had her. And then they were saying with Dawn, a lot of your situations, in interviews and what you wrote about is switched up a lot. So when you get on that stand, you better be prepared for everything. Yes, especially if you're under the influence. Cassie did well though in regards to testifying. She said, "Yep, I liked him. I don't have hate for him. Yes, I sent those messages. Yes, I was calling for the FOs." Certain stuff she don't remember, but these people have to remember when you get on that stand, you better tell the truth because they got paperwork on you or they got recordings on you. So these celebrities and people have to be careful. And then, sidebar, Paris, check this out. I had heard allege while they were listening to Dawn's testimony, they're saying, will certain people be caught up with perjury because they're not telling the truth? So people need to be very careful when they take that stand. You don't want to be caught up in perjury, saying a lie. Yeah. Yes, not a place to lie or play with, baby. Mm-mm. I'd rather for you to say, I don't recall, I don't remember. Give me a minute to think about it. Maybe my memory will be refreshed in 2 minutes. Can we come back to that question? They better prepare those people, baby. Ain't nobody trying to go up under perjury. He's the one that's in jail. So that's what people really need to think about. You ain't catching me up. Okay, y'all have a busy day today. But I thank everyone for being here. I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and do my disclaimer. And I did see this. It was the police who brought Diddy to face justice. It was the press. It was this one woman. So they're trying to say kudos to Cassie for bringing him down. But a lot of these celebrity men have to be very careful. Hollywood. There's a lot that go on Hollywood. There's this one person I listen to. They say you became a billionaire and now they want to basically take everything from you. Just like they're saying about Kanye. Kanye from 10, 15 years ago is not the Kanye of today. The things that's been said, the things that's been done, how he's been treated. You got to be careful who you surround yourself with. Yeah, and I do see where they said that she slightly might have mixed up some things in regards to her being touched in an unwanted way. That's been a big concern. But then a lot of the media wasn't telling the truth. Remember how she was like, I want to continue. And then it was a cross examine. She said, no, I don't want to continue doing it. So that's the other debunk thing. Because somebody was like, no, that didn't happen. And then a reporter told us. They read that part. But then when the cross examine happened, she said, I no longer want to do this. And thank goodness Alex came along. Real talk. We wish the best for men and women to get out of a bad situation. Okay, yeah. So they're basically saying it took Cassie to take him down. And they say when they're looking at someone for years. Real talk. But we want to hear from his other exes. Real talk. And employees and the handlers. He's a millionaire. He don't do a lot of stuff on his own. So anyway, copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing on comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. We're hearing that the mom might take the stand. Allege. If the mom takes the stand, is Cassie going to be in the courtroom? If her husband takes the stand, is he going to be in the courtroom? And if they do, if the husband do say stuff, they're going to be like, well, how do you feel about her being with you and him at the same time? What was the conversations of you wanting to date a person that's going through all this? You know what I mean? Her husband talked a lot. And then the mother, what did you see? What did you notice? Did you have the phone? Did you take pictures of, you know what I'm saying, of the bruises? So that's the biggest thing too, y'all. Y'all gotta be careful who you date because you could drag your family into some BS. You could grab your family into some BS. Cassie's husband had to sit there as she talked about situationships with the diddler as she's pregnant and married. Mm-mm. Y'all notice how the K's and the J's, when they're no longer dating a guy and they continue to bring that guy up, year after year after year. And sometimes the K's, the men don't want to date the K's and the J's no more, because guess what? When a guy is done dating a K and J, don't bring me up if I've moved on. So Cassie's pregnant, sitting in the courtroom across from near her husband, talking about her experiences with her ex. Baby, that's some dirty work. Mm-mm. Nope. And then Cassie's expected to take this man down, a whole empire. And who did he learn from in regards to Hollywood? You know what I mean? So some people are saying, did he tick somebody off? And they're saying you have too much where you could go against X, Y, and Z. Let's take him down a peg. And they're gonna just utilize. We want to hear from the other ex girlfriends. And like I told y'all before, allege before he got arrested that day, they found X, Y, and Z in his room. So who was the girl that was planning on meeting up with him? That's what I want to know. Who was hired the day before, when the day he got arrested? Who was hired to do X, Y, and Z? Yeah, it's something. R.I.P. to Kim Porter. So when you really think about the bigger picture of, there's a lot that's happened around him, near him, by him. Okay, y'all, be blessed. Have a great day. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Don't be around no jokers. Be around people that love and appreciate you. And sometimes relationships go through things. And sometimes people go through stuff, and you got to say, hey, I'm not going to put up with your mouth. I'm not going to put up with your disrespect. See you later. Peace. Find yourself. Get help for that. Make sure there's good people around you celebrating you. Yes, God bless y'all. Have a great day. I appreciate you all. Be blessed. Have a great one. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great one. Have a great one. Bye, everyone.